I think it is extraordinary that Mark Carney has become the Prime Minister of Canada. He did a terrible job in Britain.
Hey, Mr. Poilievre, Kyle Duggan from the Canadian Press. There is an ostrich farm out in BC that's facing a potential cull of its ostriches. Its supporters are looking to see if you support or oppose this. Have you taken any kind of position on this, or are you willing to speak to this matter in the House, as some of your MPs have?
All right, gang, gonna take a peek at Pierre Poilievre. He's got ARP in Canada taking a seizure behind him. Pay attention to that. I always enjoy the pressers that follow the big speech more than the speech itself. We get more information there. Let's take a peek. ARP in Canada, pay attention to him. I think he might have gotten into Jolie's stash. I don't know who's crossing the floor there. Let's take a peek.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
Parks and outside, where women no longer have to fear violent ex-husbands and other abusers, where all Canadians feel safe in this wonderful country under our proud flag. Thank you very much.
We will now open the floor to questions. Please identify yourself and your outlet.
Mr. Poilievre, do you support the Liberals' decision to end door-to-door delivery, bring in community mailboxes, and would you support back-to-work legislation?
What a mess. Unbelievable. 10 years later, after Conservatives had made Canada Post viable, 10 years later, Liberals have lost 5 billion Canadian tax dollars mismanaging Canada Post. Now the workers at Canada Post are suffering. Small businesses face interruptions to their delivery. Rural communities are being deprived of their essential services. Everyone is losing because of Liberal incompetence. And you know, it's just a reminder, when Liberals say there's no cost to their deficits, we now see that there are very real costs. People are paying the price, because the longer you pile up Liberal debt, the bigger the price will be in service cuts and higher taxes later on. And that's why what we need is a Conservative government that will responsibly manage our tax dollars, bring down these inflationary deficits, get more value for the money we spend, and make this a country where people get good service at a good price. Thank you.
Next question. Raheem Mohammed, National Post.
Yes, sir.
Do you agree with your Premier that a new West Coast pipeline is a litmus test for whether Canada still works and whether we can still build things in this country?
Almost. I think it's a litmus test for Mark Carney. There was a lot of grandiose promises by Mr. Carney during the election that he would build, baby, build faster than you'd ever imagined we could build. So when is this building going to happen? Here we are, 6 months after he took office, and the new Liberal government looks an awful lot like the old Liberal government. The last 6 months looks an awful lot like the last 10 years, where they block, baby, block. So there's only one person who will decide if this pipeline gets built, and it's Mark Carney. So I would encourage you all to ignore provincial politicians who have no authority in this matter. Like, the reality is the federal government has the full authority over interprovincial pipelines. So there's one man who stands in the way of this pipeline getting built. It's Mark Carney. If the Liberals want it built, they will immediately repeal the tanker ban so the pipe can fill a ship that goes abroad, the production cap so that our producers can make enough oil to go in the pipe, and C-69 so that the pipe can get rapidly approved. Mark Carney really only has to do one thing. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. I will note there is some good news, followed by bad news. Canadian pipeline companies are building pipelines. That's the good news. Terrible news. They're building them in the United States of America without taxpayer support. Enbridge is building 2 pipelines right now in the U.S. without taxpayer money. TransCanada Pipelines is building $8.5 billion of brand new projects in the United States without taxpayer money. But here in Canada, Mark Carney is in the way. So my message to Mark Carney, get out of the way so that Canadians can get building a pipeline. That's the way we send our resources to 2.5 billion Asian customers, so we're no longer reliant on the Americans for all of our exports.
Jillian Piper with Global News. Mr. Poilievre, do you think Canada should match the new U.S. retaliatory tariffs that came into place yesterday on pharmaceuticals, heavy trucks, and some furniture?
Well, I think Mr. Carney should keep his promise. He promised that he would negotiate a win with the United States by July 21st. Where's the win? Since Mr. Carney took office promising to be a brilliant negotiator, American tariffs on Canada have more than doubled, and they have much broadened. China, smelling weakness, has hit our farmers and fish harvesters with increased tariffs as well. Mark Carney is losing trade wars with Beijing and with Washington, and Canadians are paying the price after 6 months of broken promises. I would call on Mark Carney to immediately eliminate his tariffs on Canadian industry. Get rid of the industrial carbon tax. Get rid of anti-development laws so that we can start producing more here in Canada. Get out of the way and let builders build homes so that they can so that our lumber can go into home building. Those are the best ways that we can stand up for our country, and we're here to propose as well, not just oppose. I'm offering Mr. Carney something very generous. We propose the Canada Sovereignty Act, which will repeal all the anti-development laws and cut taxes. It'll bring home our technology to this country, and I'm offering Mr. Carney that I will hand him that bill and let him introduce it as a government bill. We will put aside all partisanship and let him pass that immediately. Do you think we could do that? Yeah. So we have, look at this kind of, the way we're putting differences aside for the interests of our country. This is the kind of collaboration we need in Canada. Yes, sir. Oui.
Hi, Mr. Poilievre. Noah Wachter with CTV News.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the Bloc leader said that as it stands, his party would no longer support the budget. I'm wondering what, if anything, would it take for your party to support the budget?
Well, we'll be laying out a specific list of demands. But first of all, we have some very serious questions. Mark Carney promised he would spend less. His deficit is almost 100% more than the one that Trudeau left behind. He promised that we would have the fastest growing economy in the G7. We have the fastest shrinking economy in the G7. He promised that he would double home building. Home building is down by 13%. He promised affordable food, and now food price inflation is almost twice the Bank of Canada's target and 50% higher in Canada than in the United States, while we expect 4 million visits to the Toronto Food Bank. So we want Mr. Carney to explain why after 6 months after making these grandiose promises, all Canadians have is costly bait and switch.
Hey, Mr. Poilievre, Kyle Duggan from the Canadian Press. There is an ostrich farm out in BC that's facing a potential cull of its ostriches. Its supporters are looking to see if you support or oppose this. Have you taken any kind of position on this, or are you willing to speak to this matter in the House, as some of your MPs have?
Well, just yesterday I did speak on it, pointing out that this is just another example of total Liberal incompetence. They've mismanaged this from the very beginning, and now they've left Canadians confused, farmers baffled by the total incompetence by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. Another disastrous Liberal mishandling of an issue that has left us with the problem we have today.
Mr. Poilievre, good morning. How should the government handle the EV tariff situation with China? How can you restore canola free trade with China? Would you be in favor of removing EV tariffs on China?
No, I would not. And this is another example of Mark Carney's weakness abroad costing Canadians at home. So Beijing hits Canada with higher tariffs on fertilizer, on canola and fish harvesters and numerous other agricultural products. And what does Mark Carney do? He gives them $1 billion taxpayer-backed loan to buy, so that we can buy Chinese-made ships. So he's taking Canadian jobs away from Canadian workers to give them to a country that is hammering our farmers and fish harvesters with tariffs. You know, it's incredible. Everywhere Mark Carney goes, we get hit with higher tariffs. You know, some people think I've criticized him for traveling. It's not his traveling, it's his results. Let's go through the background. He goes to Washington, gets wonderful, gushing media coverage. What's the result? the Americans double tariffs on Canada. He goes to Europe, twice to UK, and what do? Lock in the blockade against Canadian beef production. He meets with the Chinese premier, and what do the Chinese do? They double tariffs on our farmers and fish harvesters. It's that we would be better off if Mark Carney would hide under a rock than we are with him traveling around the world. Everywhere he goes, we end up with higher tariffs. You know what I mean? Like, if he would lock himself in a room, we would be getting a better result on tariffs than we are right now. It has been a gigantic bait and switch. We were sold about this brilliant negotiator. Where is it? Point to me to a single win anywhere in the world. And by the way, these agreements he gets, they're not agreements, they're declarations that can contain in the very first page that they have no legal binding and that they have no finances involved. So despite these public relations tours that he does around the world at great expense to taxpayers, all he has brought home is heavier tariffs on Canadians and a weaker Canadian economy. We need a new direction for our country, one that puts Canada first, one that will unlock our industry, make us a nation that is strong, self-reliant, and stands on its own 2 feet, that produces its own resources, that rewards hard work with low taxes, fast permits, and the best business environment in the world. That's the vision we have for Canada. Let's put our country first.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. We'll wrap it up right there, gang. Aaron Canadian Looney. I always find the scrums more interesting than the speeches. Like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video. We just figured out how to, get the lighting correct. Anyways, hopefully it'll make the videos more enjoyable. We'll catch you in the next one. Ciao for now.
I am a European, actually.
Oh, you are?
I'm Irish citizen. Yeah. So there you
welcome.
go.
Welcome.
Speaking as a European.
WTF.
Here, here. How many kids did you molest with Jeffrey Epstein? More than just elbows.
And as the most European of the non-European countries.
Being aware of what potential conflicts of interest you sought
What
to
possible
avoid.
conflict would you have, Stephanie? Stephanie, I'm complying with the rules. I'm complying with the rules in advance. Come on, Fiona.
These are Muslim values. These are Canadian values.
Hi, everyone. Congratulations, you're spending more money on taxes than on food, clothing, and shelter combined.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
All right, gang, thank you all very much for watching. Aaron Canadian Looney, like, share, subscribe. Smash that subscribe. We're trying to grow this thing. Canadian Federal Politics. Get yours right here. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.